Hello there everybody, What Culture Wrestling's Adam Cleary here, and I have finally decided that it is time I address the biggest elephant in the room. The one thing you all think when you look at me, when I present a video, you're always asking yourself, aren't you, how is he so great? How is he so knowledgeable? How is he so stylish? How can one man be so on top of everything that's going on? How am I so impressive? Well, it's because I have a time machine. Seriously. Now, yes, I know you might be skeptical about that, but to prove that it works, I'm now going to show you what the best wrestlers in the world were doing 5 years ago. There you are, there's Kenny Omega teaming with Kota Ibushi in DDT and then tearing things up in PWG. He's great, he's gonna be the best in the world, but he hasn't quite got that match style or that persona down yet. There's Johnny Gargano becoming a breakout star on the US indie scene as this world-renowned technician, but before we got anywhere near NXT, and who's that? I guess that's Will Ospreay as this breakout star in progress, but who hasn't quite got the depth to his character and his performances that we love him for today. Yes, I hear you, looking at the past isn't all that impressive because, for all you know, that could just be a ropey bit of visual effects with some old images inserted into it. In order to make you really believe, I'm gonna have to take you to the future instead, yes. That'll do it. Alright then, Marty, let's go. My name is Adam Cleary, and this is predicting the 10 best wrestlers in the world 5 years from now, except we're not predicting because it's a time machine, so it's true. Number 10, Shota Akuma. Shota here is a great example of the whole young lion thing in New Japan. If you're not immediately familiar with it, they are permitted only to use a set number of moves and permitted only to wear black ring gear so that the overall quality of what they do in the ring is more visible. And if there's one thing we should have learned in the last 12 months, it's that Shota's quality absolutely is. And crucially, New Japan have done two things with him that should tell you everything you need to know about what his future potential is. First of all, of course, they paired him with Tanahashi in the New Japan Cup, and the pair of them together built this genius match that was so rich in meaning and still managed to end with a very simple roll-up spot. It was just, whoa, genius. That tells you how highly they rate him in the ring, but the other crucial thing was that they paired him with Jon Moxley, which tells you how hot they are on his potential as a personality, because Moxley was able to coax out this brilliant character from an otherwise deadpan young man. New Japan, at the very least, think he's got it all, and they are right. Number 9, Tyler Bate. Now, yes, if you did watch his war with Walter at NXT UK TakeOver, you could easily make the argument that Tyler Bate is already in the best 10 wrestlers in the world. But the problem he's got right now is that the brand he primarily wrestles on has 363 days of the year with virtually no profile. The thing is, right, and I'm just going to keep using that Walter match as a reference because it was 42 minutes long and Bate managed in that to do something that most wrestlers can never ever do in a contest that long. It did, not once, not for 1 second, drag. It built and 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 it built. That is frightening for a 22-year-old. And that's the thing, isn't it? His stupidly young age. He's already put together one of the greatest WWE matches of all time, and he's only going to learn from it and get better and better and better and better. Number 8, Kento Miyahara. At 30 years of age, Kento here is not only the ace of All Japan Pro Wrestling, but currently the best thing in the entire promotion by a long distance. The thing is, right, he is a wrestler who is more than capable of blowing your mind, but at the same time, you still need your mind to appreciate all the intricacies and the subtleties of his work. Like, he doesn't blow things up with huge spots or things that put his body at risk. He just crafts these incredibly intelligent matches. You do maybe have to be a certain kind of wrestling fan to really appreciate the kind of stuff he does, but just to give you an example of how smart it is, rather than like hitting loads of different moves to get loads of pointless 2.5 counts, he will repeatedly try to get one move in, no matter how many times it fails, which puts that over as a death blow, which means you get excited about the potential of seeing that because you know that can be the finish rather than just a big move that just gets a bit of a count. It's subtle, but it's cerebral, and it's just a joy to watch. The only thing holding him back, I'm sorry to say, is that in order to be at the elite level in wrestling, you have to wrestle other elite level wrestlers. And in All Japan right now, he just does not have the competition. So in 5 years' time, if we want to see him in this best wrestlers in the world list, he has to jump somewhere. Number 7, Jungle Boy. No, I am absolutely serious about this. Like, in the few short weeks AEW has been a thing on television, he has arguably replaced with Luchasaurus the Young Bucks as the most over babyface tag team without really doing anything. At the start of the year, the guy was so very green, but even before that year is finished, he just absolutely no longer is. He draws you in with his charisma. You want to root for him more than anybody else on that roster, but yet still in the ring, he looks the equal of all the grizzled veterans on that roster. Like a match with SCU, he did not look out of place. Now that match earned rave reviews because it was the kind of thing an AEW crowd wants to see, and Jungle Boy is perfect for that AEW crowd. But the really impressive thing was in the Battle of Los Angeles this year when he wrestled Jake Atlas, he got over in front of the PWG crowd as well, who are about as far away from an All Elite crowd as is possible to be. They are really discerning with the in-ring work, which shows he can work in front of anyone. And if you're sitting there going, nah, not with that physique, you've got to have a certain look to be one of the best wrestlers in the world. The guy is 22, man. He can resculpt himself any way he wants and no doubt make you look really silly in the process. Number 6, Jacob Fatu. Yes, the latest in a very long line of wrestlers in the Anoa'i family, Jacob looks like having the most raw potential of anybody there for a goddamn generation. Sorry, Roman. Just before I get into why, can we quickly put up the... Yep, that is a fan trying to jump the guardrail, and Fatu is basically this brick wall come to life. He hits him, the fan goes down, tries to get back up but falls down again, which basically means that he hit him so hard he felt it twice. Now that power is on display every single time he gets into the ring, but so too is his agility. He can take that frame up to the top rope and springboard it all over the place. He can do things virtually no one else in wrestling can do. And I don't just mean, by the way, that he is a heavyweight with the moves of a cruiserweight, because, well, Keith Lee's in NXT right now and he does a lot of that stuff. He hits a moonsault, which for a man that size is impressive, but Keith Lee is impressive. Jacob Fatu is terrifying. He's still got that monster aura. My point being that Keith Lee's, like, cuddly? Number 5, Will Ospreay. Every single year we think Will Ospreay has peaked. We think he can't do any more with his body and with his mind than he already has in a pro wrestling ring, and every single year he does, and we look stupid. This year alone he has cracked Okada with chops so disgustingly hard they sounded like a rifle going off. Then he worked Zack Sabre Jr. and proved he is as good on the mat as the best technical wrestler on the planet. This time last year, people thought he was just a flippy guy. He has bulked up both his frame and his moveset in the last 12 months, which means he hits harder than Walter and works better than Daniel Bryan. And those are Daniel Bryan's words, by the way, not mine. His Best of the Super Juniors run this year was the work of an absolute master. All the intangibles are there now as well. There is, sadly, a small caveat to all of this, and that is every single time Ospreay innovates in the ring, we sit there and we wonder how on earth his body can possibly take this much punishment. He will undoubtedly probably be the best wrestler in the world in 5 years' time if he is still wrestling in 5 years' time, and, well, fingers crossed he is. Number 4, Kyle O'Reilly. Probably, right? Of all the people in NXT, Kyle O'Reilly might be able to sculpt the best matches, have the most exquisite technique, and has the most explosive moveset. It's just, he's in a stable right now, and he's not one of the more important parts of that stable, so you don't really get to see it. There've been little glimpses, don't get me wrong, like despite the fact he hasn't ever had a singles push there, his MMA-influenced act is already one of the most distinctive things on that entire brand. Like, have you seen anybody else do what Kyle O'Reilly does in the ring? Seen anyone move like him or attack like him? You haven't. He is unique. And let's not forget, that thing with the belt is really funny. Like, he's really charismatic. He's got a great presence. All the raw materials are there for a great singles run, either in NXT or in WWE. We just haven't been overexposed to it yet. As soon as they let him off the leash, as a babyface, you'd imagine, he'll be amazing. Number 3, MJF. Alright, so hands up here, MJF has never had a match that I have ever seen which has set the world on fire. But none of that matters because his promo game and his Twitter game and his charisma and his personality are all A+++, 100%, 5 stars, fire. If you are not following him on Twitter, you are doing your entire life wrong. my friend, he has an endless ability to innovate, to make you laugh, to bury people, to get things over, to get you excited about stuff. And given that so much of pro wrestling now is about how you present yourself on your personal feeds, Seth, he is the undisputed master of it. He buried Dungeons and Dragons in one tweet and riled up the entire gaming community, most of whom had never heard of him, most of whom will never have seen him have a match. They all still got worked by him on Twitter. Well, all of course except for one lady who said that she wanted him to put his dragon in her dungeon, and he awarded her points for creativity, but said he'd rather put the maximum ride in a pencil sharpener. All he has to do is become a 3.5-star worker somewhere down the line, and he will be the most compelling thing in all of wrestling. He is never going to run out of this shtick. He is so watchable. He is so entertaining. And yes, you can have all the 5-star matches you like. You can have all the 6-star, 7-star matches you like. If people aren't invested in you as a character, you ain't ever going anywhere. And nobody is more investable than MJF. Number 2, Jay White. Right, Jay White gets a lot of criticism for being boring in the ring, right? But I need to tell you right now, the man knows exactly how to craft a brilliant wrestling match, but what he does is he denies the audience that at every single opportunity. You might not get it the first time you see it, but if you buy into him as a heel and you really want him to lose, it's actually genius. The reason he's not in any of these best wrestler in the world now lists, though, is because that approach is sometimes very effective, sometimes not. Because in 2019, damage informs the drama, but Jay White is so calculating that he tries to win by taking the minimal amount of damage possible. Sometimes the match just doesn't quite work his way. But we saw against Kota Ibushi in this year's G1 that he's finally starting to get the hang of this. Rather than being obnoxious or frustrating, he was vicious and calculating in that match, and it just showed that the balance is there and he now knows how to strike it. The more he does it, the more consistent he's going to get and the better he's going to be to watch. He might well be the best pure heel in wrestling in the next 2 or 3 years, never mind 5. Number 1, Kazuchika Okada. Right, so thing is, he's probably the best wrestler on the entire planet right now, and he turns 32 later this year. He ain't going downhill anytime soon. It's weird that even now his approach still seems to divide a lot of wrestling fans. Like, a lot of people think the first 5 minutes of all his big matches are meandering and boring and nothing whatsoever, but you've got to think of it like prog rock. Yes, you want that riff. Yes, you want that chorus. Yes, you want the little pause breakdown bit where it goes bang again, but none of that's going to slap if it's not for the good build at the start, if it's not for that first verse. And he's so technically good, so great at crafting a match that when somebody rises to meet that challenge in pro wrestling, you get every single time one of the best matches that have ever been. Like, the guy has managed to get the backslide over as a potentially lethal match-winning mood. He is building sub-mythologies into roll-ups. And the thing is, this Rainmaker gimmick is excellent, part of the thing that informs his brilliance, but even his broken thing in last year's G1 shows he can rethink his own character to meet the current roster. It's 2019, the guy is almost peerless in my opinion. By 2024, he's going to be one of the greatest of all time ever, forever and ever and ever. It's just, he ain't going away. So there you have it, those will be the 10 best wrestlers in the world 5 years from now. Now I'm sure you've got your own opinions on this, but remember, that's a time machine, you can't argue with science. Let us know what you made of it all in the comments below, and of course don't forget to like, share and subscribe. But in the meantime though, thank you so much for watching. I have of course been Adam Cleary. Ironically, I'm out of time, and I'll see you soon. Sorry, bye.